give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk. It's Monday night, the 8th day of the month of October. We're live, and I'm looking forward to finding out how your weekend went, as well as what is on your mind this evening. Want to get your thoughts on the video I did earlier in reference to the massive layoffs that's taking place. So let's begin this chit chat. A couple minutes late as always, but we're here, so let's get this thing started. Who else we got joining us? If we have any new viewers, welcome to RTD Live Talk. My name is Mike, the host of the show, Detroit's #1 late night talk show. The only one from Detroit doing it this late at night, that's for sure. So anyway, what we got going on here, we got the New York Redneck. Says, what up, player? We got Diamond Heart. Hello, RTD. How you guys doing? Student of life. How you doing? We have, okay, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, but I see you. Peace, excited for the show, definitely. It says, beautiful day here in Pittsburgh. There we go, Jeff. Chris, how you doing, my friend? So I want to get your thoughts on the articles I did earlier in reference to the massive layoffs. And so it's always good to have a YouTube viewer, Jeff, who gives me a heads up on the articles as they come out. So Jeff gave me the heads up on the Verizon one. And then if you just type in layoffs, you get all types of activity happening in reference to just more corporations deciding to trim back on cost. And they're offering a lot of severance packages these days. And so we'll see if people take them. But, you know, if you're being offered a severance pay, that means they're going to boot you anyway. So you might as well go ahead and take that thing, in my opinion. It says, Nicholas from Fort Lauderdale. How you doing down there, my friend? I hear that that there's a hurricane called Michael, if I'm not mistaken, that's heading your way or not too far away from the Florida coastline. So let me know if that's coming towards the Fort Lauderdale area, or is it going around, or what's up with that? Is it something serious? Haven't really dived into it lately. Chris says you should have Gregory Mannarino on again. Yes, that is a good point. I know I saw that Gregory Mannarino is now live streaming, so I'll definitely reach out to him. I made note to do it before, but forgot about it. But definitely would love to have Greg join us again. As always, I like to reach out to more alternative media gentlemen in the space, as well as, you know, young ladies as well, just to get a different voice. So I try to find new, fresh voices as opposed to, you know, continue to invite the same people who, for the most part, we kind of know their philosophy and what their school of thought is. And so everyone knows Greg. You know, he's a bond, not a bond, but a stock market trader who, you know, loves making quick profits and whatnot. Does a great job of what he does over there at traderschoice.net. It says, let me see, I got something that says, do you think they are manipulating and milking the system in advance of the grand solar minimum? What are your thoughts on the intersection of debt, war, solar, and empire cycles? New York Redneck, great question. That's a lot of thoughts in one. And so in reference to the solar minimum, I'm not too familiar with that. Debt, war, empire cycles. Not sure about, you know, the full-fledged information on the empire cycles, but I believe that it is in the best interest of the powers that be to get as much life out of this system as they can, because they see the writing on the wall. Just the fact that there's so much stuff happening out in our eastern hemisphere with Russia and China and all their development, so they're going to milk it as much as they can. And the biggest thing is, the biggest question which we should concern ourselves with is whether or not Donald Trump's appointee, Jerome Powell, is doing the best. He's operating in the best interest of our country, which is good to say no, or is he heavily concerned with his shareholders, at the Federal Reserve shareholders, the too big to fail banks. And so Trump doesn't like the fact he's raising rates, but if Jerome Powell don't give a damn, so if Jerome Powell keeps raising, it's going to mess up Trump's economic expansion that he's trying to take credit of for something that I think in the end he may not want to be, taking any type of credit for this system we're in, but we'll see how that plays out. But as of now, I want to see, let me unplug this. Yeah, too much static on my end. It says my introduction was via the Manico interview. Jeff, Manico, yes, 64, over in the UK area. That was a great conversation to have him on, man. He's definitely a wealth of knowledge, having a background in the financial system, so he has a unique perspective. So I usually catch some of his videos throughout the day because he does one every day. So does a great job over there. Definitely want to have him on again, probably in the beginning of the new year. Student says, I see 2007-2008 recession coming back. The Federal Reserve raising interest rates is a direct correlation to a recession. Yeah, and speaking of that, let me go ahead and pull up a graph that, let me see here, that is quite telling of where we're at and where we're heading. And so, of course, the rush is to take interest rates as close to quote unquote normal as they can prior to some type of trying to find the most recent graph here. So the goal is to get the rates as high as possible. And so here we have, all these spikes here is when they hiked off of some type of, economic downturn, and then turned around and then had to drop them. So here we have the dot-com bust, got up to, was about 5 or 6%, dropped it. Here we go. This was the whole everyone deserves a house time frame from President Bush here. And then here we get to the subprime mortgage situation, and they dropped it. And so now we're down here at about 2%, give or take. So they're trying to raise it, try to get another 3 or maybe 4 out of this deal before they drop it again. And this next drop might be the very last drop, given the fact there's nowhere you can go but below zero. And we see what's happening with that in the EU. It's not pretty. That means that everyone who has any type of investments in the banking system, you will lose out. You will take a haircut off top. And it's so bad over there, they're actually lending money or buying bonds and getting less money back in return. So that's how crazy it is over there. It says, oh my gosh, I love your earlier video. It was really well done. You went into detail. Diamond Heart, appreciate that. Appreciate that. The biggest thing with those videos is try to make them short, because I can just either read right through it and then I can elaborate and just make a whole rant, and videos end up being 15-20 minutes. So I actually got it down to 10 minutes because I had to chop out a lot of stuff because I do a lot of ranting trying to explain my point. So I try to keep it definitely below 10 minutes. If I can get it to 5 or 6, I'd be very lucky. Cameron, how you doing, my friend? Says D. Robbie, as Greggy says, be your own central bank and bet against American debt. Definitely. Definitely. That's the thing. Like, if you follow a couple gentlemen in the alternative media space, we all have an idea of what to do. It's basically to bet against the current paradigm. Everything that you're told to do via mainstream, you might want to reconsider that or probably do the opposite or something similar to that. It says, what is the interest rate for the EU? Interest rate as of now, I want to say it is negative 0.0 something. And so speaking of which, let me pull that up. It's definitely nowhere near 1. Let me see here. Try to find the most recent. EU. Where are we at here? And so according to this little visual aid here, it is at 0 even according to the ECB interest rate. So let me pull this up because I'm seeing so many graphs here. But I'm not sure what the source of this. Bloomberg, let me see here. I want to grab something. But here's something that's here's a version of our interest rates, federal funds rates. And so here we are. This is, we've been living on 0% or near zero interest rates, which means that all savers have been getting robbed. And now they're trying to hike it up. So look at historically how you know, up, down. So every spike was then brought down by a recession. Boom. Or boom, boom, all boom. So every drop was a mad recession. And here we are now. It's been 10 years since we've had some type of correction. So I always tell people the next correction will probably be our last, due to the fact that there will be no recovery to what is considered normal as far as what we're experiencing now with easy credit and everybody living a finance lifestyle. I don't foresee that time coming again, because we've reached into the future so far in advance, pulling $200 and some trillion worth of liabilities to bring it forward to live for today. There's no repaying that back, man. It is no repaying that back. Says Jeff Johnson, if you buy 28 BTC and HODL, you're guaranteed to be in the 1% of Bitcoin ever becomes money. Kevin, good assessment there, my friend. And so I was thinking about this earlier, and how, you know, the silver market right now, I think it was 14.20 something, or 14.20 something. So I'm thinking it can easily drop down to $13 easily the next month if they play this right. They can just slam this thing down, and then gold could probably get close to the 1,000. But I'm thinking, like, a lot of people here, I'm sure, are scared and just, you know, concerned about, you know, the perception of losing money or losing value as their metals drop. But I'm thinking, like, what? And I came up with my 3 S's. And so this is not a financial advice, of course, but it's just my thought process on just assessing where we're at and my thought process in general. And so, you know, out of the 3 S's I came up with, probably nothing new, but yet what can you actually do, or what can you do, or what should you be considering with your current financial situation? And so the mainstream narrative is to invest, and to, of course, the mainstream media tells us to make sure you max out your contributions to your retirement portfolios and be well diversified in large cap stocks and mutual funds and bonds. I'm like, yeah, I don't really know if I trust that myself. So I'm thinking, like, man, you know, if you had $1,000, what can you do with $1,000 that would be worth your while? You know, being a, you know, somewhat of a younger guy, you know, retirement, I don't really believe in the model of retiring the way it's been taught to us, that you park your money here, expect it to grow, and then somebody gonna take care of it on your behalf and give it back to you at the end. I don't believe that, and because I have a lot of reasons why. Primary reason is, how do you know how much to save, given the fact that monetary policy demands an increase in the money supply? So if you were to save the recommended $600,000 today, do you think 600,000, 10, 20, 30 years will be worth 600,000? Of course not. So I don't think you actually receive true gains on that when you factor in inflation, but that's another story. But the 3 S's I came up with, and I'm ranting just because I haven't looked at the questions yet, but spend, speculate, save. Those are the 3 S's that came to mind, and I'm thinking, like, what do you value most as far as looking at long term, as having something of intrinsic value? That's metals. So you probably want to save your metals, and so not really concern yourself with the actual nominal price now, given the fact that if you were to take the mind frame of your metals being a retirement portfolio, you know, if that's what you might want to do, my opinion, then you don't really have to pay attention to it. Just think about the weight that you're holding 20, 30 years from now. That weight is going to be pretty good, I believe, in my opinion, given the monetary system. And then the second one is speculating. How can you actually get some gains or play around in some markets? And of course, that's, in my opinion, the crypto sector, something worth, you know, playing around with, of course, when you're educated and if you got your eyes on some exciting projects. So speculating, and you know, if you're a day trader, you might want to do stocks, but I think it's more upside in the crypto market as far as those software and blockchain based companies is forming, being something that will actually be the next Yahoo's, Google's down the line. So speculating with that. And then what do you do with the other S is spending. What do you spend right now? And I'm thinking, if I was in Argentina right now, I would definitely be spending them Argentinian pesos to buy something to speculate with or to save in that holds its value. So, you know, those are my 3 S's. Let me know if you guys have another S in mind. But those are just 3 things that I would, you know, pose to guys to, you know, consider when it comes to this whole monetary paradigm we're in now, because things are shifting drastically, and yet people are still getting the same old outdated advice of park it and ride it out. You know, are you guys willing to ride out this monetary situation we're in now? Are you willing to ride out this next recession that I mentioned about earlier? Could be our very last one, because after it will come a restructuring or a reset or something of that nature, because this current paradigm can't continue to go on because it's all based upon debt. So yeah, it says gold and silver. Listen, look into getting Charles Niener as a guest on your show. his work on historical cycles is prompted by questions. That would be nice too. Yes, Charles Nieder, I'm familiar with him, and I would definitely write that down. Appreciate you guys. Give me some suggestions. Yeah. Worth thing to know, a lot of people are willing to share their opinions and thoughts, so I've been very successful being able to get a large variety of guests. And actually, speaking of which, I got a guest tomorrow night. I forgot to mention Patrick, my guy from down in Chile. He's going to come on and share with us his project he has down there, which is it's a community based down there that uses the blockchain and tech and cryptos and whatnot, and they're doing some pretty big things down there. So he's going to come on tomorrow night at 9:30 to share some information with us. So definitely join us tomorrow night and call in and ask questions, because Chile, it's a beautiful country. I lived there for 2 years almost, and I'm familiar with the area that he's down there in, so it's definitely going to be a good conversation. It says, Mike, do you think it's wise to get into gold company stocks? Diamond Heart 11. Leor Gantz. And I was talking to him. I had him on here the other day, but behind the scenes we were talking and whatnot. And he, kind of hinted at the fact that come this next market correction, that it might be, gold stocks and those mining corporations will be booming, and so it might be a great opportunity for those that are willing to do their research and do their homework, because all mining companies and speculation companies aren't the same. So there are a lot of good ones out there. So definitely this next coming recession, he foresees some opportunity out there. So for those that are willing to do their homework, I'm sure you probably won't go wrong with them, given the next immediate time frame during this next market correction. So there could be a drastic spike or a minor spike, but I don't think they will be going to zero. It says 90, 180 days of flood. What is that? I'm not sure what that is. Chica Carissa rising. So let's hit the like button. Appreciate that. Definitely, if you guys are on here, might as well hit that like button. Hopefully get a couple more people to join in. And as always, the phone lines are open. So tonight is geared towards what's on your mind. Interested in getting your thoughts on the video I did earlier, reference to the layoffs. And so what other companies are you guys familiar with? Because I guarantee you, when I Googled like layoffs or whatnot, or my search terms are layoffs or protest, and Google, of course, they censor exactly what you're going to see. So what I saw might be different from what you will see, but it's a lot more companies out there with layoffs other than those three big ones I mentioned, because of bankruptcy and things of that nature. So definitely, if you guys have any other companies that you're aware of is laying off, massively or even small, that plays a big impact in local economies, especially. Tony Blaylock, yeah, I've reached out to John Williams a couple times. He hasn't gotten back with me or responded, so I take it he may not want to join us here on RTD Live Talk or for an interview in general, but I'll definitely reach out to him again, because I've hit John up a couple times and haven't had a chance to have him on here. It says we got Bitcoin Incognito, great privacy coin. Bitcoin Incognito, I'm not familiar with that. Phil 56, shine some light on that for us. What is that, something new or what? And that's the thing, there's so many spinoffs of Bitcoin. I assume if you just attach a word before or after Bitcoin, it's going to retain some of its value down the line just because it's labeled Bitcoin. And a lot of things, like I was reading, there's a book on Weimar Republic, and it's a great book. I can't think of it, but it's a very detailed book that tells you about how life was in the midst of the hyperinflation down in Germany. And something that stood out was anything that was named or labeled or associated with something. It didn't even have to be the exact product. It could have been a company or an item. If it had a name that sounded like it was tied to or attached to or backed by something that was important, like gold, silver, it retained its value. So it went up in price just off sheer speculation. So when I'm getting at the fact that, Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin was, just the word Bitcoin will definitely draw interest because people are going to associate it with Bitcoin, the original one. And so it could be something that could be a complete scam, but, if stuff hits the fan, it could take off. It says, Mike, if you own cryptos, which cryptos do you own? Student of life. Very good point, man. So I break it down, and I actually thought about coming up with a cryptocurrency segment to RTD, but I'm like, nah, I don't want to get into that just because I don't want to really focus on it. I'm interested in it. I do speculate with them. And so there's a lot of projects that I like. And so I'm constantly learning and trying to figure out more of the technical side of things so I can be well versed when I'm interviewing people. But, you know, there's basically 3 categories that I came up with, of which I speculate in a couple of those categories. So I have privacy is definitely one category that I think is going to be very important. I have utility, you know, what would it be utilized for, and how will it be, you know, something that we can use in our daily lives. And then the third one is disruptive. And so those 3 categories is what I use to kind of gauge what I have interest in. So privacy is going to be important once regulation kicks in and, you know, Uncle Sam gets mad and wants to start heavily taxing everybody. You're going to need some privacy. So those coins going to take off at that point big time. The utility factor is, you know, which coins will be utilized on a daily basis or for transactions amongst, you know, for you to engage their software, or for example, like Salt. You know, Salt is a lending platform that's being developed right now, and they just recently added Litecoin. But in order to actually, you get a more favorable rate to repay your loans from them if you use their Salt token. So that definitely, if you want to take out a loan, using Salt will be worthwhile, even though it's below $1 now. So I remember I got in Salt a while back and lost a lot of money on it. But once again, it's speculating, so you run the risk of that. And then on the disruptive nature is what out there can replace or disrupt the mainstream narrative. So I'm looking at there's a coin, I've not got into it, but there's a coin called Funfair that's to do with gambling or gaming. I'm interested in. There's Decentraland, which has to do with, you know, an actual digital world where people actually invest and build property in this blockchain world. So those are all things that are interesting to me, but I'm not involved in any of them, but just interested. And then there's a couple out there that just have some interesting concepts behind it. So those are 3 categories I use, of which from those 3, there's a couple of each one, but I don't want to go into detail with which ones, because I don't want to, you know, I'm not into like sharing and promoting type of stuff like that. I'll just share my insights. It says the US dollar is a nice looking paper, $5 penny. Yeah, it's interesting. I prefer this right here. Where are we at? The Benjamin. It says cryptos are the biggest scam of the 21st century. The second in infinite. I can't read that. We will see, man. But in the meantime, it's going to be the biggest. It could at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it could end up being a bigger scam. True, but between now and the end of the day, a lot of people are going to, you know, make a lot. Just think about this. There's an entire financial and banking system that's right now preparing to offer cryptocurrencies and blockchain-based assets to you. It is a mathematical certainty. I can't prove it, but I'm more than confident that once this infrastructure is built, that's being built now, once there's custodianship, where there's actually you can store it somewhere safe, once there's insurance, of which those 2 things are happening right now, then it will be, they're going to do the ETF, the derivatives aspect off of it, to spin it off, to make money off of it, to short it, and then they're going to offer it to the public. And who needs it more than anybody are the ones that are retiring right now. The baby boomers are in need of yield. They're in need of profit. So you better believe that a lot of these hedge funds / portfolio managers are already looking into how can they get involved so that they can offer their clients some profit. Because as of now, on the current model we're on, the baby boomers funds will not last. Pensions are underfunded heavily. And it's good to say that their retirement portfolios will only go as far or last as long as this inflated stock market continues to rise. If there is a correction, and I'm saying if because it's just a matter of when, but when there's a correction, there's going to be a steep drop down to what I believe could be all-time lows of the stock market, and poof, there goes portfolios, there goes pensions, there goes everything that people were expecting. So what will they have to fall back on? All that stock dough may end up rolling into cryptos to kind of counterbalance them stock losses that people might face. So hence the idea that I don't think cryptos are going nowhere anytime soon. So, but time will tell. But I'm more confident that they're allowing cryptocurrencies to become a mainstream topic in a lot of households and on the mainstream channels because they need something to fall back on themselves. They need something to transfer all of them billions and trillions into so that the crash or correction that happens in the stock market and the bond market isn't too severe. At least some people have smiles on their face, I believe. Says, I don't think that. No, don't say that. Where will be places for it? Says, Goldman already has coin called Seth Coin. Yes. And speaking of which, I meant to do a video, but I'm going to pull it up right now. Tony, thank you for bringing it up, my friend. I'm going to pull this up right now because, and this is, oh man, this is good. This is what I was thinking about over the weekend. This is what's going to be rolled out to us. Mark my words on this one. And so over the weekend, I came across an article that talked about a project by Circle, and Circle was purchased by Goldman Sachs, and so it's called the USD coin. And so the USD coin is the first stable coin that has it's fully approved in every aspect possible, and it got approved so fast. I wonder why. So it's out of New York. They have federal license and insurance, and it's being traded by about 10 or so different heavy big wig institutions. And so this USD will be available for you and I to hold in our possession pretty soon. And so the question is, why the ramp up all of a sudden for stable coins? So we have Gemini has a stable coin coming out, the USD coin, and in fact it's called USD coin. Lets me know that if Goldman Sachs is behind this, the bank, the too big to fail banks will also be involved with this. What better way to roll out an alternative currency to compete along with the Federal Reserve note other than something that can be digitally transferred and quote unquote considered stable, as the Federal Reserve notes has its problems in the near future, especially when monetary policy kicks in after this next market correction, because they're going to have to inject some quantitative easing type things. And so here's something that can be positioned to us as being stable because it's backed by governments, it's backed by the banks, and I want to say the Federal Reserve gave it a thumbs up or something like that. But I can find some more. It says more than a stable coin, it's a movement. And so it has more information, but this is just a site that came up, but it's done by Circle, which is a Goldman Sachs owned company. So let me go back and give you some more details about it, because this right here I believe is a very big move, and it's not by mistake. It is not by mistake. This is a deliberate action by the too big to fail banks to get involved in this space. And what better way to do it than offer their own? It says Circle to launch stablecoin USD coin. So the initiatives is USDC partners with Bitmain. So here's some information there, but here it says major Chinese crypto mining Bitmain is investing $110 million in the new project. So the solution will enable consumers to purchase and use USDC fiat tokens for payments and trading in the crypto ecosystem. So it's been approved for you to use in transactions. So they're going to actually, I believe that BACT or the ICE, the NASDAQ exchange gig that's coming in November, they're going to be involved in this as well. So here's a list of all the other partners or whatnot that's involved in this coin. And this is going to be a banker's coin. It says trading a USD on Binance will begin in 10 minutes. And so I believe once this thing becomes mainstream, we're going to find, the bank's going to find out a way to roll it to us through our banking system, whether it be, through some type of, alternative or something like that. But I believe by next year or two, they're going to be offering us USDC coins at our banks. I could be wrong, but we'll see. But I thought that was very interesting. It says Litecoin is an area to put some cash. Definitely. So Litecoin falls into that second category of utility where it's going to be utilized in transactions. So as my last guest, John Moore, was on mentioning about, he's really pushing the initiative along with a lot of Litecoin individuals on making Litecoin a payment method. And so a lot of people out here are excited about Litecoin's benefits of being instant transaction, off-chain, and all those details there. So I do believe in Litecoin. I'm very confident in it, in the future of it. So I think it will be very exciting. I think it will be very exciting. So I had a call, but I missed it. I apologize for that. Give me a call back, and I can get you on there. So give me a call back. It says, I will tell everyone to put money into Digibyte decentralized. Digibyte. So yeah, Digibyte falls into that because there's a couple coins that's being pushed right now for payment methods. And so I was watching a video earlier about Venezuela, how Dash is growing rapidly. And then we have Smart Cash, then we have Digibyte, then we have Litecoin. And so those are all coins that are really being pushed from a community standpoint for people to accept as actual cash. So definitely, those are all, Digibytes, 25 cents right now. Oops. So definitely something worth holding on to. So we have a first call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Wilmer from New Jersey.
Wilmer from New Jersey. How you doing, my friend?
Very good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. What's on your mind this evening?
I just feel like the Fed, they're trapped pretty much. That's what I feel.
Yeah. So you think they're trapped in regards to their push to raise interest rates, or what exactly? Yeah, go ahead.
Rates. I think they lost control, to be honest. I think now they pretty much have maybe a couple years max. If they find a way to lower the dollar, they're pretty much done.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. See,
you can't even see it. And today the stock market, I feel like they got a rest because the bond market wasn't open. But
yeah,
I think this week we're gonna see even more pain there. And even the mainstream people are talking about it too, so it's crazy.
Yeah, I saw something on Fox or CNN, and watch what this is what you should watch out for, and that's what I noticed. There's going to be more Fox News, CNN news stories saying what to do with your money, where to invest. Is this the right market to invest in? They're going to spin it off to make it seem like this is the time you want to get into the market. And when I see stuff like that, I know it's propaganda because everybody, all the big wigs, the long money is long gone. So what's keeping this thing up? And it's good to say it's not the younger generation because they're the ones not even able to pay for their own living expenses or bills. So where are these funds coming from to keep this market going up? So that hints at the idea that there's some funny money out there flowing into the stock market. It's bound to correct pretty soon.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, the only reason that it was up, the stock market was up for that long is because interest rates were so low. Such a joke.
Yeah.
Easy.
So in due time, my friend, we will all see. So I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, my friend.
All right, man.
All right, have a good one.
You too, man.
Great call there. And I want to thank Atta Ogurso. Says Litecoin will be a 4-to-1 to Bitcoin and Digibyte. Thank you for the super chat there, my friend. Yeah, Litecoin is the favorite. I think Litecoin is the people's choice. That's what it seems like. So would you guys agree that Litecoin seems to be the people's choice? I'm not sure if it's the excitement of it being compared to, Bitcoin is gold and Litecoin is silver, but there's just so much excitement behind the potential for what Litecoin can be and be utilized for. So I'm definitely interested to see how it all turns out. I am a Digibyte fan, I must admit. So the question is with Digibyte, because it's only at 2 cents or 2.5 cents right now, the day that it reaches $1, will that be at the $1 trillion market cap? Or no, it won't be the $1 trillion. It's gonna take several billion. Let me actually see what Digibyte, because sometimes I try to calculate how much a certain valuation for a coin would need to be in order for that coin to reach a either all-time high or like the penny stock type coins to reach $1. And sometimes sometimes the number seems so large. I'm like, damn. I'm not sure if it'll be, that $1 trillion market cap for a single coin. But yet down the line, who knows? It says, Mark, are you buying any AML Bitcoin on HBTC's a new first round Fed coin? I am not familiar with AML Bitcoin on HIT BTC. I'm not too familiar with Omni. Share with me some information on that. Educate me a little bit. It says best thing to do is buy a house outside of the city, grow own food. You can eat Bitcoin, just different forms of control. Yeah, definitely. I'm interested in especially what Leo mentioned about real estate in another country. That's something that interests me. So tomorrow night, as I mentioned, I'm having a guest on who's has a project going on down in Chile. And so Chile is, it's a beautiful country. So it got me to thinking about, man, I wonder what would the process be to acquire just a small lot down in Chile, if it's doable. So that's something I'm interested in asking Patrick tomorrow. Says they're trying to replace the King Bitcoin, but it would all fail on user consumption. So who, let me see, AML Bitcoin. Let me go ahead and look this up because I'm curious as to what is an AML Bitcoin. AML Bitcoin. Let's see what this is talking about. Because prior to right now, I never heard of AML Bitcoin. And so initial thought on this screen here. So when I type in AML Bitcoin, this is what pops up. And it says buy AML Bitcoin. It says AML Bitcoin is the world's first AML KYC Patriot Act coin that's compliant with biometric identification. That's an AML KYC Patriot Act coin. That's a lot of information in one. U.S. Office of Foreign Assets, Bank Secrecy Act, including worldwide regulations, are compliant with. How are they compliant with? So to me, if this is true, that means in order to hold these or to use these, you got to give up your whole life story. If it's KYC, AML, anti-theft, anti-criminal features, you got to give them some saliva, an eye scan, a fingerprint, get an AML token. I don't really think I'll be doing this, Omni. Just that information there, like all the things that they're offering, all this, AYM, KYC. I'm like, yeah, people are trying not to go that route. So I think I might have to pass on that one. Because I'm not sure how can it be anti-money laundering Bitcoin other than them having ability to attract. They have to have the ability to track each single coin that has an owner, which would be you if you are, if it's anti-money laundering, because they have to know who the person is. So that's the only way they can make it anti. But we'll see. The war on Bitcoin has begun. All will fail. It says, Mike, do you think the federal government will make any other cryptocurrency legal to have on one standard government cryptocurrency? I don't think the government will legalize or authorize any single currency or unit of exchange or unit of value outside their control. And so if they can't control it, see it, maneuver it, or cut it off to remove you from the system, it will not be approved. And that's the government. But then on the other hand, 300 million Americans can formulate a community to where they choose to use a certain coin as an alternative option amongst themselves. And it's good to say no one will be able to stop a community as large as multiple millions across this country trying to stop a movement such as that. So that being the case, they won't make it legal tender. That's another question. Will they make a coin? Will they allow a coin or make a coin and make it a legal tender, where it will be acceptable for dues and taxes? That's going to be the big key. But I think, as I mentioned in the past, this next coming correction and the response from the central bank and the government, they're going to have to come together with some alternative to the dollar, because the dollar will continue to strengthen because everything around us is crumbling. But when it reaches here, it's going to tank. They're going to have to have an alternative as the dollar continues to increase in value, because it's going to be very hurtful for our economy in general. Hotto Fuel for a coffee. My man, I appreciate you. Thank you. I don't drink coffee, but I'll use it for a tea. So thank you. I appreciate that. It says Polonex is carrying the USD coin. Really? And so Polonionex, I always pronounce that wrong, but you get the hang of it. That company there was purchased by Goldman Sachs, so I'm not surprised. So here's an idea. Goldman Sachs is already deep into the crypto game because they bought an exchange and they bought a payment method. That Circle is an app for payments. So they are already in the game. So a lot of the big funds aren't really invested directly in the cryptos. The venture capital money. They're invested in the infrastructure for you and I to use, and for products and services to be rolled out on top of their platforms for us to use. So the money is being spent. It's just it's behind the scenes to where people can't see it. It says, thanks, Kevin. You might be right. I'm too poor, too much invested in Bitcoin. And so, okay, here's a question for you. And so, like the last rally on December, Bitcoin rose to 19,000. And so, so let me ask you a question, and guys, let me know in the chat. Would it be worth your while to hold a fraction or a piece of a Bitcoin that will continue to increase in value, or to hold perhaps a single coin of something on the same top 5 category, or as some people say, Bitcoin and Litecoin should be 1-to-4 ratio. So would it be better to hold a fraction of a Bitcoin, or would you rather have a single whole Litecoin given, it reaches all-time highs? So is it the idea mentally of like holding a piece of something, or holding or owning a whole single unit? Which one is more intriguing? Let me know. I'm curious to find out. In any amount. So just say, so a Bitcoin in any amount. Okay, Hado. Okay, that's real. Satoshi Calendar predicts Bitcoin 1 million by 2021. So if having a fraction or a piece of a Bitcoin would put you in pretty good standard, depending on how big a chunk is. So if Bitcoin reached $1 million, what would be a satisfactory chunk of a Bitcoin? How about, so 0.1 will put you at $100,000. That's not bad. So a 0.01 will put you at $10,000, and 0.001 will put you at $1,000. So basically what that boils down to, if Bitcoin reaches $1 million, which I don't doubt it, because all these fiat currencies they will be accounted for in tangible assets of some kind, or digital assets such as this. So all those numbers are going to go flooding into cryptocurrency. That's not necessarily going to be a good thing, because there's going to be a point where cryptocurrency market will experience inflation initially, as the stock money and this bond, all that money goes into cryptos. It's going to rise exponentially, which will be inflationary. For those that hold it, it's going to be very enjoyable. But for those that are not in currently, it's going to be hard to acquire a single 0.001 of a Bitcoin, because who's going to be willing to sell with the perception of it's going to continue to increase in value? That's another story. But holding 0.01 at 1 million will keep you good, according to Bitcoin Time Traveler. Bitcoin Time Traveler. I saw something about that. I saw that. I'm not sure where I saw that from. Where was that from? I saw something about a Bitcoin Time Traveler. So basically, question, it says, did you know by 2020 the interest rates for national debt will reach $900 billion? By 2028. Philman, I would probably say it's going to reach $900 billion before 2028, because as of now it's 500. So it's 453 or 500 billion now. So to double, that's, what's that, 10 years? I think we could hit 900 billion the next time the government is in need of funds. Hence, for social programs, after this next correction where there's going to be massive job layoffs, there's going to be the unemployment insurance. This next go round is going to be multiple trillions because of so many layoffs. So we're going to reach a $1 trillion deficit or interest payment before 10 years, in my opinion. If the storm hits as bad as a lot of people say that it's going to hit. Is everyone blind by the bling of fiat? Just remember, they all trade in USD. Tony, that's a good point, man. They all trade in USD now, but you don't have to exchange it for USD. You can exchange it directly for metals. And pretty soon, with some of these platforms that's going to be put up, you can actually acquire, like, here's another one, Kim.com. He's, the mega upload guy from New Zealand who's on the run or whatever. He has a platform coming out where he's introducing direct trade for payment methods and for e-commerce around the world. to where some of the things he was saying is that you're going to be able to instantly acquire anything you want online, the equivalent of like an Amazon or eBay or a Craigslist, to where it's going to be anonymous and whatever. And the way he's packaging this up is this project come out in 2019. If stuff like that takes off, you won't even need to go back into fiat. And so ideally, why would you really want to go back into fiat? Especially if, like for example, the emerging markets, people in Argentina, I was reading up the other day, there's 2 or 3 companies right now that's getting ready to bombard Argentina with 2,000, or it was a large number of Bitcoin ATMs for people to get their money to turn their fiat into Bitcoin. And it's good to say if you turn it into Bitcoin, you're not trying to get back into pesos unless emergency or you need pesos to complete a transaction. But people in countries where the currency is failing, they're trying to get out of it. And so it might be valued in USD, but you don't have to go back into it, which means that people will be able to trade it directly for whatever it is they want. And that's going to be the primary thing. But at the end of the day, while it's increasing as our economy crumbles and the nominal price of cryptocurrencies rise, Gretchen's law is going to kick in. Who's going to want to get rid of it? You're going to automatically spend that paper first and hodl or hold or hoard what's of value, which will be metals as well as the cryptocurrencies for a short term. It says military says by 2020 Bitcoin will be past 1 trillion each. Ooh, Omni. So if Bitcoin is past 1 trillion, the question is, what would 1 trillion get you? Because I have a $1 trillion Zimbabwe dollar, not too far from me, and that $1 trillion can't do much. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily a good thing, because $1 trillion means that inflation is through the roof, and it probably costs $500 million for a can of beans from the $500 store. You get it? Not the dollar store, but the $500 million store. Yeah. Anyway, nobody laughed. Says fiat fix it again, Tony. It says fix it again. Well, we got peso into gold, then gold into USD. Yeah, I think. Let me share some thoughts with you guys and let me know what you think. I'm gonna pull up on the screen, and then perhaps you can share your thoughts with it. Because I, once again, was thinking about how the possibility of this here. Here we go. Let me see here. Pull this up here. I was thinking about the idea that, so here we have the dollar sign. And so this sign here is internationally known and respected amongst the financiers and bankers as being the big wig of all currencies. And so a while back I did a little research as to how this symbol originated, and it was all in the early 1900s type of thing. I forgot the details of it, but I was thinking, like, at the end of the day, the Federal Reserve note will be the last note standing because it's a reserve currency. But there will come a time, and I'm sure you can agree, where there will be something else that will be used and preferred over what we call the dollar today. And so I'm thinking, like, there will come a time where this symbol will become, it won't have the same reputation as it has now. Like, people around the world recognize this as being the go-to when their currency crashes. But there's going to come a day with us here as citizens, we're going to look at this symbol and either be disgusted because of the pain and suffering that will come from the monetary policies that's going to possibly hyperinflate away this note and the symbol behind it, or it's going to be transferred over. This same image of a dollar symbol will be transferred over into whatever the next monetary unit that's given out, whether it be a dollar coin or treasury coin, whatever it is. This symbol, will this symbol stick to that next medium of exchange, or can the policies that I believe that's coming, when this symbol is seen, put a very bad taste in people's mouth? I'm curious to find out your thoughts. Will this symbol here withstand the test of time? Because it's been, 105 years of us using the Federal Reserve note, with this as being the predominant symbol for it. will this currency note, will this symbol last, or will we be given some other symbol, ideally like what's around that Economist cover magazine, the Phoenix and whatnot, or what? What are your thoughts on this symbol here? Will this symbol last and withstand the test of time, or will this thing be looked at as like, when you look at it, you're going to think of like a cuss word down the line because of what it might do to humanity, not just United States citizens, but humanity, because there's people in every country that look at this as a savings because their currency is folding. So I'm interested to find out your thoughts. Feel free to share with me in the chat. It says Litecoin, so Litecoin's gonna be the international symbol. We got a caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. Tim from Colorado.
Tim from Colorado. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Well, you were talking about whether the new currency would retain the dollar sign, right?
Yes.
I think that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think that depends on. Here's what I think. They're going to have to reset the currency at some point. Because this debt, I mean, it can only go so far, I think.
Yeah.
So if they go to this USD coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it associates to keeping that dollar sign? Will they try and do it in such a way that people don't realize what fiat currency is, and it's a convenience, and they'll be proactive about it? If that's the case, then they could keep the U.S. dollar sign, because a lot of people don't know what fiat currency is. But once they let it fail, if it becomes too out of control, then they do find out what fiat is. Will people understand the difference between centralization, if they don't call it fiat, non-centralization? Because if that USD coin is centralized, which of course it will be, because even if then, will people realize what fiat is? Once people realize what fiat is, what's going to happen? Because you can't spend coins unless the government allows it. In other words, in order for suppliers to accept that coin, it has to be authorized by the government, or they won't allow it.
Yeah, they won't allow it because whatever will be considered legal tender is primarily going to be considered legal tender because they expect you to pay taxes on it, or to pay taxes with that particular unit. It's going to be what's acceptable by the government for tax purpose. But at the end of the day, you can have, because also a lot of people don't remember, not in my lifetime, that we had multiple currencies floating around. So prior to the 70s, I wasn't around then like that, but they had treasury notes circulating, United States notes circulating right next to the Federal Reserve notes for 60, 70 years up until they removed them from circulation in 1971 or something like that. So that we had multiple currencies, and we had bank notes from banks back in the early 1900s, United States notes and Federal Reserve notes all circulating at one time, and gold and silver coins. So we have 5 units of monetary value circulating at one time. And of course that wasn't, it didn't work out well to where they narrowed it down to just one now. But there could come a time where the government issues one, but the people choose to have 2 or 3. Hence the idea of people being so excited about cryptocurrency, because it may not be legal tender, but if you want to buy something from me and I'll request it Litecoin, then you can definitely, and I'll take it from me because I can trust that based upon that particular model. So there will be a legal tender, and then there will be the people's tender. Could be, or something of that nature.
I think you bring up an excellent point that your listeners should pay attention to, and that's that the legal tender will be the coin, what will be the currency that the government's going to accept for taxes.
Yeah.
And that's real important.
Yeah.
But I don't think there'll be any other, because I don't think the powers that be, the cabal, the bank cabal that runs the world, is going to allow any transactions to occur with suppliers. Peer-to-peer is one thing, but what makes the world go round is just-in-time delivery.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to relinquish this without blowing the world up.
Yeah.
So the question is, will they transition? Will they try and transition before people realize what fiat currency is in the masses? Because everybody's the vast majority of the population is hypnotized on this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, once again, like I love hitting at the fact that we are in uncharted waters. Never before has there been such a massive monetary and financial experiment as we're in now. So you and I have a front row seat to see what happens. And so the good thing is, at the end of the day, we all know that what has withstood the test of time, of course. And so as long as there's a little bit of some of that in your possession, then, you know, so you'll probably be better off than not having none. So, yeah, but I like the idea. Somebody, you know, requoted the people's tender. So I'm gonna make a little visual aid, call it. I'm gonna say Litecoin is going to be the people's tender. How about that? Are you a Litecoin fan?
Well, the last I heard from a guy that supports the 1776 coin, and his last name, it might be Kent first name, but last name is Lewis. He's here in Colorado. Lewiss. But his opinion is that if you look back, and I haven't fact checked this, but most of these coins are associated to central banking and the people that funded the creation of a lot of these exchanges and the creation of even Bitcoin. Now, again, I have not fact-checked that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound too ludicrous, you know. The other concern I have is, you know, I'm with you. The only thing I trust is metals. Get your weight up. What are we going to be? Are we going to be under? Are we going to have? We're going to have to be black marketers, aren't we? I mean, I don't think there's any way that they're going to allow us to successfully deal in that.
Yeah, and then that's where the whole idea, remember I said earlier that the three forms of coins or cryptocurrency that interest me, and the very first one was privacy. And then that's where the privacy side will come in, because the idea of being able to transfer value anonymously or semi-anonymously or something like that, that's when those type of things will be the most useful, because if you want to send something to someone but don't want no one to know how much or how whatever, then that might be an option. Give or take, there's going to be a crackdown, of course, but people are still going to use it. It might be considered illegal to use privacy coins, but, you know, we'll see when we get to that point. But that's when the whole idea of privacy coins will be most popular. And I can see the most smallest market cap coins now that are labeled privacy, that has all the bells and whistles to make it actually privacy, being $1 million coins down the line, because they're going to be scarce. And so I'm excited about the scarcity aspect of the crypto market, because there can be spinoffs and forks, but there's only 21 million Bitcoins that's ever be created according to the protocol. And there's an infinite amount of money or fiat currency that will be printed between now and the time Bitcoin supposedly reaches $1 trillion. So imagine how much paper will be put out here, which will be absorbed into those cryptocurrencies. And then what you do with that and what you can do with it, that's another story. But the finiteness and the scarcity aspect is what excites me about some of these projects here, in reference to cryptocurrency, as well as metals as well, because metals are scarce as well. So, yeah, those are properties of money, my friend. But, Tim, appreciate you calling in, my friend.
Okay, hey, hang in there. Thanks, Mike.
All right, have a go, buddy. Yeah, man, that is what it is. I appreciate Tim calling in. It says, note, the 100th monkey already knows what fiat is. Typo on my part is grains, not grams. Yeah, but grams does the same thing. I get your drift. I get your drift there. The dollar. Yet knowing that you still hold the metals, enjoy. If that you're using privacy, that you are using privacy coins, that you, if they know you're, Mike, after all Bitcoin are mine, what will remain are the transactions to be mine, no worries. So yeah, so the whole idea of the amount of coins and things of that nature, for those that are labeled privacy, you know, this is, as I mentioned, this is a big experiment that we are going to find out what works and what doesn't work. But as I started off with my 3 S's, you got to spend, speculate, and the savings. And at the end of the day, everything is everything is based upon the amount of weight. And another thing I was thinking, like, at the end of the day, if we actually reach these type of hyperinflationary numbers, there won't be a amount or a weight amount that will be too little, as long as you have something. Given the fact, based upon history, it won't take much weight to accomplish what it is you need for yourself in that next structure or next paradigm. And so and what concerns me most is the people who are out here trying to, first of all, is there a such thing as having too much weight? because I believe you can have too much weight where you're not mobile and not able to actually shake and move, and then you're subject to having to leave behind and whatever. But yet it's always good, as Leor said, have a little bit here, there. But I think that at the end of the day, because 99 or 98% of the population don't even have a single ounce of anything, it won't take many ounces on your part to preserve and to be well off anyway. So yeah, that leads to the idea that, getting your weight up is important. And then speculating on things that you are willing and capable of. If you lost it all, would you be mad? If you lost it all and you'll be heartbroken, crushed, and you lose everything, then you playing the wrong game, in my opinion. But if you can play with it, have fun with it, and learn, you're spending to learn, because the blockchain ain't going nowhere. We're gonna use it whether we want it or not. Why not proactively educate yourself? So, after your girl, so appreciate the super chat, my friend. Any more new on me? Oh, Kevin, good point, man. I haven't. Let me see. This is October now. Let me because apart from mentioning it, I thought about it the other day. Let me, by tomorrow, I'm going to set a date in, what's today? I'm going to set a date for either the end of this month or the beginning of November for a meetup. I'm thinking a Friday night. Friday night may be too crowded to meet up. How about like a middle of the week, a Wednesday night meetup somewhere downtown Detroit? We'll get together, have a little back and forth, do a little just encouraging men building, and as well as if young ladies want to come, if you're interested, feel free to come hang out with us. Let's encourage each other, bounce ideas off each other. We're having like a meetup / a mastermind type of opportunity for people. So let me put some thought to it, and Kevin, I'll have something for you and whoever's interested pretty soon. Put it like that. We're gonna get it going. Says Mike, what percentage in my portfolio should be crypto? Patrick James, I can't give you advice on how much, but I can share with you my opinions based upon those three categories I mentioned about save, speculate, and spend. And so at this current moment, the most important thing will have enough saved in the spending category to be able to sustain yourself, take care of your bills, whatever. And then, of course, on the speculating side, that's what you're talking about, the portfolio measure. It's more so whatever disposable that you can, that won't come up missing. And so it's actually how much of what you particular coin or whatever you choose to buy, depending upon your knowledge and information on what projects you want to get involved in. But I posed a question a while back, and I think the ratio that we all came up with was, out of 100%, it was like 15% cash, 40% metals or something like that, and 30 or something percent and cryptos, if that is something that interests you as far as wealth preservation. Not much really focusing on gains in the nominal sense as far as holding a stock portfolio or all stuff like that, but just pure taking matters into your own hand, being your own financial guru, however you want to do that. There's not a right or wrong, but it's more so what can you afford to play with, my friend, because you're playing with this. That's not really considered investing, in my opinion. You're speculating on the idea that cryptocurrencies will go up. So tread water carefully, my friend. That would be my idea. That would be my suggestion. Can't give you an exact number because everyone's is different as far as what they're able to hold and want to possess on them and in their holdings. But out of those three categories, save, speculate, spend, a good portion that you're comfortable with, whatever that is. If you come up with something, let us know. Come back, let me know, my friend. I'm curious to hear that. Says I know which one works. Monero actively works on the scripting while digital note follows, and those are crypto note for starters. Familiar with Monero, but not sure with all the specifics of how that work. Says Trump plus dollar equals trawler. Good one. I dig that one. So we got another caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? This is Kenny from Pensacola, Florida.
Kenny from Florida. How you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm doing well.
That's good. I'm doing good, man. What's on your mind this night?
Yeah, so I just had a question about gold and metals in general.
Okay.
So if they're being traded on the paper market, meaning like, so if the market, whenever the market crashes, people gonna be pulling their money out, and they're gonna have margin calls and all this stuff, and then we pulling their money out of all the stocks or shares that they have. Isn't that going to automatically lower the price of gold because if it's all traded upon the paper market?
Based upon the prior situation, like, so all information wise, in my opinion, all I can go upon is how things reacted during this last recession, and given the fact that once everything went down, there was a slight drop for a moment, but then people realized the seriousness of it, and then there was a spike up. So I would imagine that big long money came into play, and it boosted the prices up dramatically to all-time highs at that point. So if that was a hiccup in comparison to what could be, I can imagine the paper, contract stuff that has manipulated prices for the last umpteen years, that game might be up, because we might run into a situation where there'll be so many big investors running for safety that they can dump all the contracts they want, but your actual ability to acquire physical metals might send the real price up through the roof, to where I would imagine if all hell breaks loose type of environment, the game is going to be completely changed. They won't be able to drop prices the way they are now with all this paper crap, because everyone will then know how much of a fraud it is, and that there's no real gold in vaults or silver in vaults truly to be had. And so it's going to be a race to get tangible physical gold, of which the demand price, I believe, will probably go through the roof. That's just first thing that came to mind based upon your statement.
Oh, so you're basically saying that the actual spot price will have nothing to do with what people are actually signing for?
I can imagine that, because because right now, for most retail investors, you go to coin shops, go online, you buy an ounce, a gram, whatever you buy on a small scale. But there's so many rich people out here that's already getting involved. So if you watch people like what's his name? I can't think of his name, but there's Irvin von Greyer out in Switzerland. He's on Greg Hunter a couple times. And then we got Rob Kirby, these are all gold bullion people. Axel Merck is another gold guy who supply tonnage. And from what they're saying, based upon the interviews they give, they're saying that there's millions trying to find physical right now, and it's not as easy as it used to be, because all the big stuff is pretty much gone, or they're paying a hefty premium. And so if all that long money is battling right now for tangible, imagine when stuff hits the fan and it's like, okay, it's a rush to get out of paper. They're going to be looking to buy artwork, skyscrapers, anything they can buy to get out of paper. In the worst case scenario, might be a situation where the old game of rigging everything is who's going to believe that? Because you're going to actually want something in your possession. They're not going to want paper contracts and paper this and people going to find out how the problem behind receipts and certificates and paper promises. So, and that's in a worst case scenario. I can imagine something like that happening.
Yeah, I saw your interview with the guy from Venezuela.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like, so he was basically saying that when it comes to silver and gold, it's a normal actual citizen wouldn't even have the access to it. Only rich people would. Right.
Only people who are able to get hold of it, because he was saying how the cartel runs that all the mining stuff there, but because they are not able to actually go to a gold store, go to online and shop in Venezuela, because it's not a retail item there to purchase in that regards there. But what's funny is, I bet you, not funny, but a lot of Venezuelan people don't know that their old currency from the 60s and 50s, those coins are silver coins still. So I'm sure they may have antique stores down there that actually has a lot of those old pre-60 something coins that they have that are Venezuelan bolivars, that if they grabbed a hold of those, or I'm sure some do, but their actual old currency was actually metal or gold back in the day. So that would be a start for them if they were aware of it. But so only in this country here do we have the opportunity to acquire anything we want right now while this paper still acquires something. So, but then one day there will come a time where I don't think people will be willing to take it. And that's that time when all confidence is lost in fiat currency, which will be the last, I believe we'll be the last country more than likely.
Okay, and one last thing.
Yep.
So you're talking about as far as it will be the last country, because the way I view the current, all the fiat currencies is that we all compete against each other. So all of us are competing against all these different countries. So let's just say if we get a devaluation. I mean, China prints a lot of money to compete with our currency, and all these other countries print to be able to pay for their debt that are U.S. dollar based. They had to print a bunch of money as well. So it's like, so if we devalue, everyone else would devalue. So it won't be much. I mean, what will really happen? It's not like
it's going to be a race to the bottom.
Doing better than us financially.
Right, but then here's the kicker, of which a lot of people talk about, like what countries right now are accumulating the most gold. And so
Russia and
China have been accumulating heavily since the .com era. It's been increasing more and more, and after the Great Recession, it spiked up drastically. But along the way, there's a lot of countries surrounding Russia that, like, I think Kazakhstan is right now, they're acquiring all-time new highs. Germany repatriated their gold. India is gold and silver mecca anyway. So all those countries there they've been acquiring heavily since the recession and the .com bubble. What are they doing that for, other than the fact that they know that there might come a time where they need to actually have something in their reserves that's of value, because they're going to have to print their way out of trouble, which is going to hurt the citizens there. But the central banks and the country will have something to sit on. The country will have their weight up as they deal out that paper crap. So the currencies are going to be basically inflated away, because it's all a race to the bottom, because everyone's trying to outdo one another, and the whole trade war that's going on. Like they're devaluing their own currency to oblivion, hurting their own citizens for the sake of having a trade advantage. So, yeah.
Okay.
So
I appreciate it, Mike.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you calling in. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a good night.
Yeah. You too.
Yeah, man, it's a race to the bottoms with these fiat currencies. So, but people, it's been over an hour, and so we've been going back and forth. I got good feedback in the chat, looks like. It's been good as always, man. So tomorrow night, make sure you guys check back in with me. Tomorrow we're gonna have a guest, Patrick, who's a part of a project that's taking place down in Chile, and so he's coming on to share some information with us all. And I'm sure it's going to be a great interview / go back and forth, call in, ask questions. And so we're going to be talking about the country of Chile. And so Chile, is one of my, second, third favorite countries that I've had the privilege of living in, and still have friends and whatnot down there. And actually was down there 3 years ago, I think. Had a great time. And so it's going to be good, man. So definitely call in and learn a couple of things about opportunities outside this country. That's the most important thing. So other than that, everybody, enjoy yourself. Make sure you give it a thumbs up on this video. Share this if you enjoy this. As also, if you come across any news stories in your area that about massive layoffs or protests, share that with me so I can, put it on the community page so people can see it or whatnot, and become informed on other issues outside of, what I've talked about today. And also, if you guys want to support the channel, become a Patreon subscriber. I would love your support. As well as if you guys want to donate some Bitcoin to your boy, have my address up top. I would love to be blessed in that nature. So other than that, have a great night. Be good. See you tomorrow night, 9:30. Be on time.